Well, hello and welcome everyone to another Tech Tuesday. It is our last Tech Tuesday of the school year. So, whether you're joining us live right now or watching later on YouTube, we're so glad to have you. Today, we're talking about just wrapping up the year here. We're talking about our summer technology backup slash checklist. And so, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Just a couple of different things that we need to know about before we get ready to leave, before we lose our minds for the summer, right? But I'm sure everyone is excited to be on break, and so we're glad that you're with us here today. So just a quick few couple of announcements. If you haven't met us yet, we are your technology integration team, and I'm here with both Marissa Lopez and Alexandria Bahil today. And Alexandria is our MISD computer tech, and Marissa, along with me, we are both instructional technology coordinators. We're also with Sherry Marks, who couldn't be with us right now. Also, our director of technology integration, Isabel Espinoza. Both of them had to be gone right now, but so that's kind of an introduction to who we are. And if you didn't realize this, we like to promote this because we send out a technology newsletter once a month. And so if you go to midlandisd.net/tech newsletter, you can subscribe or see an archive of all of the past newsletters that you might have missed. Also, you can receive SBEC or CPE credit just for attending a Tech Tuesday. So if you know any teacher friends that are trying to up their certification, make sure that you let them know, hey, you can join Tech Tuesday and get those credits. And before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and drop some helpful links into the chat. And so everyone who is here, you should have links to Eduphoria to sign up for today's credit and all of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today. You'll have a copy of the presentation as well and some other helpful links. So that is dropped in the chat right now. And so also, we want to remind you that you can follow us on X. Just search for @MidlandISD Tech, and you'll see all of our cool stuff that we're posting on our X account. And so that's basically kind of just our regular announcements, but here's a special announcement for you. Get ready here pretty soon, and probably throughout the summer, you'll be seeing something very soon about our Elevate Power Up Technology Conference for 2025, and that will be in August. So please stay tuned for more information. We have our very own Marissa Lopez, who is going to be our keynote speaker. And so she's really excited about that. She's going to be talking about some really cool AI stuff. And I don't know, Marissa, did you want to plug anything in for that real quick or? Okay, sweet. So she might talk about that later, but if not, just stay tuned. So that's our Elevate Power Up Conference coming up in August. We're going to have a lot of great sessions, a lot of amazing presenters and vendors that are going to be coming out. Vendors like Class Dojo, Google, Canva, GoGuardian, Magic School AI, Adobe, Cami, right? All those cool ones are going to be there. So you don't want to miss it, or just be ready to hear more about that. Okay, so basically some of the basics we want to hit first for today for you guys to get ready for summer is just kind of a checklist here, okay? And that's a great idea if you want to go ahead and screenshot this slide. But like I said, we did drop this presentation into the chat if you want to have it just in case. But basically, I know every year things can be a little different depending on what the techs kind of need for that year. And so for this year, it's going to be a little bit different. So if you've got some teacher friends that aren't for sure, tell them, hey, I went to Tech Tuesday and I heard it from the source, right? So this is kind of what we're asking is just as usual. You want to move everything to Google Drive. You want to be doing that honestly throughout the year. So it shouldn't just be an end of the year thing, right? Because keeping your stuff backed up to Google Drive is always a good option, right? So as a teacher, I would always keep all of my files and stuff backed up to Google Drive. But if you haven't done that yet, you want to make sure that you do that right now, just in case, because you never know, right? Something crazy could happen to your computer, and you want to make sure that at least all of your important lessons and things like that are in your Google Drive. So that's check box 1. Okay. Next thing is you do want to shut down the computer, but here's the key: don't unplug the computer this year. Okay. And so if you've got other teacher friends, please tell them don't unplug the computer. And there's a reason for that. And Alexandria, you're more than welcome to chime in on any of this too, because Alexandria is she's a very integral part of that whole process. So we're not unplugging the computers this year. Is that right, Alexandria? Awesome. And so also you don't want to unplug your Clever Touch. And is there a specific reason for that?
So we're going to be updating a whole bunch of our technology over the summer, and we do not want any of these unplugged because we need to be able to access these even remotely so we can make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be, since we're on a really, really tight schedule this year.
Absolutely. So if you guys could do that, you can shut down the computer and everything, but please don't unplug it. That would really help out our computer techs out in the field. And so we do appreciate that if you could do that for us. And then of course the last checkbox is the elevate, which we've already talked about. Elevate, power up. Just please keep your ears to the ground on that, and you should be seeing some information about that coming up very soon, because when they do communicate that out to everyone, you should be able to go. I think there will probably be like a website where you can get more information and maybe even sign up somehow, but just keep your ears open for that. Is there anything that we need to touch on as far as like the computer versions, Alexandria?
No.
Okay, great. So yeah, but just in general, they're going to be doing some updates and things, and so that's why it'll make it easier on them not to have to go and plug everything back in. So please leave everything plugged in, especially if you have a computer lab or something like that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Marissa.
Okay, so I wanted to share with you guys some tips for Eduphoria. So if you want to save all of your PD that you've done throughout the year, including this session that you just got credit for, you would go to Eduphoria. It's in your class link. You click on Strive. And then in Strive on the left, there's a portfolio. And when you click on your portfolio, there's a little print button. So that will kind of print and you can save it to a PDF. Just in case you want to save this for your records. If you ever, for some reason, leave the district or you're moving and you need some of this information, you can always call us and we'll activate your account and pull up your records. That way you don't lose them. But if you just want to have them with you to skip all of that hassle and just keep everything for the year, that's how you would do that. And before I talk about the goals, does Jasmine or Holly, do you guys have any questions before we?
I have a question. I am a pre-K teacher, and I think I know the answer. She has a computer too. Keep that plugged in, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's all.
Okay, and then if you want to archive your evaluations or your goals, you can do it the same thing. So you would go to My Process instead of My Portfolio. And same thing is going to be in Strive. And then here is where you're going to have all of your goals and everything saved for each year. So if you want to go back and read your evaluations, these do get archived at the end of the year, but you can always go back and look at these or save them. So that was my tip for end of the year. If you would like to do that in Eduphoria, you don't have to, but some people do like to keep record of all of their trainings and all of their evaluations. So if that's you, those just 2 tips for end of the year. The second tip I had for end of the year is there are some summer PD sessions that are provided by the Teaching and Learning Department. This link to this page is in the chat. So if you click on the link, it's actually like a Canva page. Then you can click on the little tabs and you can go to the sessions and sign up in Eduphoria as well. So There's some pre-K classes, some math, reading. So if you want to attend something in the summer, that's just a little slide that I put in here for you. All right, and Josh?
Awesome. Yeah, and then basically this is kind of another just general but very smart tip for end of the year is if you want to plan for like a smooth restart. I'm just going to read the slide here so that we know exactly. So to ensure access to technology and apps in August, write down your passwords in a safe location now. So that's our like official tip for that as far as like passwords. You can also choose to save your passwords securely in your Google account. And so if you need help with that, you're more than welcome to reach out to us, but you can just go to passwords.google.com, and that's a great option for storing your passwords, but it's always a good practice just to, keep those passwords safe. And so, and I do apologize because I think this link is one link that I did forget to leave out of the chat, but it's really simple, and you can still get back to that URL by just clicking on the presentation, which is included into the chat today. So it's just passwords.google.com if you want to look at that for saving your, keep your passwords safe. And so that's a good tip. Okay, now this is really important, but it won't apply to everyone. But just in case you are a teacher who is at a campus that might be, because what we hear is that there might be a switch from, if you're using Canvas, that you could be going to Google Classroom, that's a really big possibility right now. So if you are on a campus or you are a teacher who is planning on making the switch from Canvas to Google Classroom, we have some really big recommendations for you. First off is that you back up or export your courses in Canvas. And so there is a way to do that. It brings them all into one folder, which is good. And that folder is a little tricky, but we have a playlist. So that's our second tip, is that you watch our YouTube playlist. And I put the link in the chat and right here on this slide. If you go to that, you're going to see some videos that myself and Marissa put together for you on just different aspects of getting ready for that transition. And we realize it's, it can be a little bit of a hectic transition for a lot of teachers. So we want to make that as smooth as possible. And the third tip is that basically, if you are, which you probably should be, but if you are already creating like a master course or master courses in your Google Classroom right now, what you want to do is be ready to unarchive those coming into August. And the reason for that is because you can be building that right now. However, once we hit the new year, those will automatically be archived. It's nothing to worry about. It's a real easy way. You just go into your archived and you just unarchive them. And so basically, that's just something that happens whenever we reset Google Classroom going into the new year. So you can still be building those master courses in Google Classroom right now, getting ready. However, just keep in mind, once we hit that date, you will have to go back and unarchive them, and it's really easy. So just keep that in mind. They didn't disappear. They didn't get deleted, okay? They're still there. You just have to bring them back out because it just kind of resets. And so so be ready to unarchive those. After July 20th, your SIS generated classes will appear automatically, okay? So we're just talking about master courses that you as the teacher create. And so once again, please visit the YouTube playlist. We've got some really good shorts on there talking about how to back up and export your courses from Canvas and kind of how to navigate bringing some resources into your Google Drive so that you can rebuild all of those in Google Classroom. So, and if anyone has any questions about that, we can help as well.
And the Canvas is really the little red circle. That's really for the high school users. So if you're not a high school user, you don't have to worry about that. But if you are planning to use Google Classroom and you want to make a master class, you can always email us at itechhelp and we can help you with that. That way you have a place where you keep all of your important assignments, and you can reuse those every year.
Exactly. Thanks, Marissa. So yeah, definitely very important, but only for some of you. Okay, and so now this is pretty much going to be, I think, the last tip. And so I can cover some of this. Marissa, Alexandria, if you think I'm forgetting anything, feel free to chime in, because I don't want to forget anything here. But basically, we just wanted to kind of give a little more instruction on backing up everything to Google Drive, since that's probably going to be what most of you are doing. And so, and that kind of just hits on the first tip. So that's really all we're doing, is kind of talking about some details with that right now, giving you guys some different options, right? So there's some different steps, a couple different ways you can do it. And me personally, I think you'll like one of these ways, one of these options. But all the computers will be updated to Windows 11, which Alexandria kind of touched on that a while ago. There's also a how-to guide. That link is in the chat as well. And I'm about to show you that on the next slide as well. But you can get that if you want to by clicking. And I just realized I misspelled that there. But you can view the how-to guide right here. And it's basically just a 2-pager. There's 3 steps to it. And actually, the 2-pager kind of goes through both ways. So the first page, it kind of goes through where you can just back up kind of the more traditional way. And then the second page talks about how you can back up with Google Drive for desktop, I believe is how this 2-pager is working. And so in Midland ISD, we'll be moving to Windows 11 and making sure that everything is moved to Windows 11. So please make sure you have backed up all of your computer files to Google Drive. And so basically you can do it through the web. And so if you are good and you're a good teacher like I was, and you've been using your Google Drive, which hopefully you have, you're probably more like me. You do it the more traditional way, which is, and what I mean by on the web is you just go to googledrive.com, right? Or you go to your Google Drive through your little waffle, and you see all of the folders in there, right? And so that's what we mean by just backing it up through the web. And so basically you can do it as easy as dragging and dropping your folders and files in. As most of you probably know, you can create your own files and folders. And so that's what I like to do. However, there is a really cool way so you can actually use what's called Google Drive for desktop. And so if you've never heard of Google Drive for desktop, it's actually pretty easy. You can, well, I'll just kind of read through it here. So it says there's another way to sign into your Google Drive if you didn't know that. So if you are signed in on the app, you will see the G drive located in your file explorer. So basically what this Google Drive for desktop does is it makes your Google Drive appear as a drive on your Windows file explorer, okay, if that makes sense. So basically, when you open up like a folder on your computer, you can see you can see your hard drive and all of the different favorites and downloads, all of those different places in your computer. Your Google Drive will actually appear in that list on your file explorer. So if that's something you might think is easier, then that is something you can look into on this how-to guide. So basically, it'll just I'll take you through some of the steps here. So you would just go to this website. I believe actually it's supposed to be pushed out to the laptops already. But just in case it's not, you're more than welcome to reach out to us to get help from us to make sure that it is installed on your computer. But it should already be there. And so, but if not, you can just go to the website, just Google Drive for desktop. That's all you have to do is search that on Google, and it'll take you to this website. It looks just like this, and it has this big blue button, and you can just tell it to download it, okay? But like I said, it should already be downloaded on your computer. Okay, so once it's downloaded, all you do is just install it, you open it up, and you go through this little setup. There's a little setup wizard that you go through. It's really easy. You don't even have to give it access to everything, but the one thing you do want to make sure you give it access to is just your computer. And so basically, once that is installed, this is what it will look like. Okay, so notice it looks just like a normal Windows file browser. Like I said, it's got this PC, desktop, downloads, all of those places, and then your local disk, right? But in that, underneath that, then it will appear as your Google Drive, and it's called the G Drive. So it's really cool because once it's there on your computer, it's actually syncing with your Google Drive on the web. So anything that you do, if you drag and drop any files into your Google Drive, your G Drive on your computer, it will automatically sync. So then once you go into your Google Drive on the app, on the Google homepage, like through the waffle, you will see all of those files in there. Does that kind of make sense? Another really cool part is that normally if you're using Google Drive on the web, and let's say you drag and drop in a Word doc or an Excel file, it will try to convert those into sheets or docs because that's kind of what Google uses. But what's cool about the Google Drive for desktop is that when you drag and drop those types of files in there, it's supposed to save those natively. So it will open up back in your Excel or as a Word doc. So some people like Google better, some people like the Microsoft apps better. So it's really up to you how you want to do that. But that's an option that I think gives it a kind of makes it easy as well to use the Google Drive for desktop. So that's what it will look like. It'll just say Google Drive or G Drive. And then basically, like I said, it always syncs. If you edit, delete, or move a file, it'll do the same thing in the other location. And so that's kind of what that looks like as an example. You'll see the file in both locations. And most importantly is that you organize your files in your Google Drive. So just the same way that you would organize files like on your downloads folder or some other folder that you created, is you want to make sure that you're organizing those in your G Drive as well. You can create new folders in the G Drive. All you do is you just click on the new folder icon. So that is a pretty easy way, a good way to use it. And you can move files from one of your folders to your Google Drive by selecting them. So the same way that you would moving a file or a folder from one location to the other on your computer is the exact same way. You can highlight, drag and drop. You can do multiple at the same time. You just press your shift key, you hold down your shift key while you select, and then you can right click and copy and paste them into your G Drive. So let's say you're taking something from your downloads or your desktop. You can highlight them and then copy them and then paste them into the G Drive. And that'll go up to your Google Drive. You can also organize your files and folders directly in Google Drive. So this is kind of more on the web side. What I personally like to do is do the folder organization how I like it on the web. And then once all of the folders are created, then I go onto my computer and drag and drop stuff from there. So that's a good way to kind of make it easier to back up your files. Okay. Okay, and then there's this third option. So you've got the web option, you've got the Google Drive for desktop option, and then the third option is something called Google Takeout. And if you've never heard of this, basically you just go to takeout.google.com, and that link is also in the chat. And so I keep wanting to say it's in the description. I guess I'm thinking I'm listening to a YouTube video. But the link is down there. And so you'll go to takeout.google.com. And what this does is it does everything for you. And so basically this is also really good. Like if you are maybe leaving the district and you want to transfer everything from one Google account to another Google account. So this is what I did when I was a teacher and I wanted to save everything. Now, it already has to be in your Google Drive or your Google Drive for desktop. This isn't a way to back everything up from your computer. But as long as it's in there, you can actually back that up from one Google account to another Google account. So it downloads all of your Google account data. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, it's not just your Google Drive. This will take docs, videos, sheets, slides, presentations. I think it takes some of your, or if not all of your Google Chrome, like stuff that you had in your Google Chrome, all of your data, and it basically transfers it. So basically, and it can be imported into another Google account. So what it does is you go to that website, and I don't know if we actually had a screenshot of that. We should have had that, but you go to that website, it'll take you through some questions that you basically click a bunch of check boxes and you tell it what you want it to take. And then you click go, and then it's possible that it could take a few days. So this is kind of a good thing to do maybe during the summer, but it's going to be like doing that behind the scenes, and you kind of leave it, and it kind of depends on how much you have. So the more that you have, the longer it will take, but it does it all for you. You just check the boxes of what, like, yes, I want you to save my Google Drive, I want you to save my Gmail, all of that stuff. And then it transfers it. You basically tell it what account it's coming from and then what account it's going to, and then it does it for you. Now, just a heads up, some of those files and folders might be a little unorganized, and you might have to reorganize them later once everything is moved over. But it is a great option for teachers who just have too much things to do and they just need it to be more automated. So I think that's really about it. Marissa?
Yes, if you're not leaving the district, I do not recommend to do that last step. That's only if you're having to transfer everything. So if you're just staying, don't do that last step.
Exactly. Yes. And I'm glad you clarified that, because it really is more for, it's only for moving from one Google account to another. Right. So, but if you're just backing up all of your data or your folders and files for next year, then, you know, the Google Drive for desktop would be the way to go. Okay. So we want to just open it up for any questions that anyone might have.
Can you make your Google Drive too full and have to start paying for it?
I know my personal one is like 90% full, but I think
That's
our
why
district one is, yeah, for the personal one, the thing that takes up the most space is Google Photos. So if for some reason you have that turned on, that takes up the most, and then clearing up old emails. But the district one seems to have a lot of storage, so you should be fine.
Thank you.
Yes, and that's a good question, because like me, I was a media teacher for high school, so I had a ton of like videos, and I don't think I ever used up all of the space, so you should be good. Awesome. Just a moment for any other questions. And check our chat to see if there's any questions. Okay, well, I don't think there's anything else, so we just want to thank you once again for joining us today. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. You can email itechhelp@midlandisd.net, and we are more than happy to answer any questions you might have for getting ready for next year. So thank you for joining us on Tech Tuesday, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye, everyone.